Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. As long as you just don't have any allergies. It's fall, it's allergy season, and I am full of antihistamines. We have with us this morning Mr. Dean Gilmore, and we have so much to talk about today. I think let's just go right to him. Let's bring him in. Hello, Dean. How are you this morning?
Judith. How are you this morning?
Doing grand. It's great to hook up with you again.
It is nice to see you. Nice to see you.
So Dean is with a company called Video Remix. Do you want to just give us a little idea of what you do?
Yes, I would love to. I was just taking my daily vitamin with some water, but Video Remix is a video personalization company. We are a tech company, and what we really do is we allow entrepreneurs to be able to do video in a different way that is more interactive, that is personalized. And for me, what that really means is making video software that that the average entrepreneur can use to be able to land their local business clients and other clients out there with using video personalization.
Now, just before we went on, we were talking about the latest sort of little enhancement that has been added. Could you just tell us about what it does and what it allows us to do?
Yeah.
We're not selling anything, everybody, okay? It's not for sale, but we're just talking about it.
So when I got the Video Remix was probably about a year and a half ago, probably a little earlier than that. The thing about it is that video was being used as a tool that everyone kind of knows. Everyone knows video now. Everyone knows that you have to be making videos. There's so many companies out there that are doing that. But video, one of the issues with video, and being someone who makes video and sells videos to businesses, is that the status quo, or what's been going on, has been going on for a while. You have new video makers, they make them look prettier and things like that, but it doesn't really solve a lot of your businesses or your customers' pain points. And what I wanted to focus in on were those pain points. And one of the biggest pain points that you have right now, and I think, excuse me, business in general have pain point wise, is that you have so many different social media platforms, right? Yeah. And we're going to talk about this a little later on why I'm telling you to get into live. You have so many different platforms out there, and what's happening is that those platforms are fragmented, meaning that when you are on Facebook, a lot of times your Facebook doesn't go to your LinkedIn. Your LinkedIn doesn't go to this, your that, or whatever. And one of the biggest things, though, is still SEO. It's being found on the internet, and more specifically, it's being found on Google. I do not, I'm like one of those Pepsi Coke people, right? Where once I start using something, I stick with that. And 80% of buyers are the exact same way. I am a Coke person, but if I was to go to a restaurant and I order a Coke, they'll be like, "Oh, well, we don't have Coke.
Yeah.
You want Pepsi?"
Well, Pepsi do?
Like, no. Right? Like,
oh, yeah?
No, I don't want Pepsi.
Well, of course, yes, of course.
Yeah. So what I'll order, though, is I'll order their Pepsi Sprite. So Mellow Yellow, I think it is, or something like that. But the thing is that loyalty runs deep, really, really deep with your customer base. It really takes a lot for people to change over. And I remember that when Uber first started. I was a huge Uberer. I don't like driving.
Yeah, Uber. I remember. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like Uber, I don't know if it was the whole Remember when everyone was on Uber's case because of their hiring practices, everything? And then I tried Lyft, and now for the last, I would say 8 months, I Lyft, and I never Uber, even though
You
my kids
did.
still. It was such a drastic change, and it's so funny though because I like this is how brand loyal people are. But it's funny. I haven't taken an Uber. I think I took one, and I Uber almost every day because I take my son to school in
Right.
Uber. We don't live that far from his school, but it's like our time to
Yeah.
connect together and everything like that. And it's Lyft, but it's funny. I haven't taken an Uber in 8 months, but my son still says, "Is the Uber on the way?" And I
Ah.
still say Uber, but I don't take Uber. So to make a long story short, the thing was is that trying to find a working not only with a brand that has name recognition, that name recognition is not only just about that name recognition, but it's about the products that they have. And Google, I would say, is one of, if not the top company out there, one of the top companies out there. And what we wanted to allow our customers to do for the first time ever is piggyback off of Google's name recognition, off of Google's products, and off of Google's features. You know, a lot of times we don't realize how deeply entrenched in our daily lives Google is, right? How many companies they own that we really use. So basically, what we now allow people to do is we allow them to actually put a Google map and Google features directly into a video. So not only does that video help your clients with interactivity, meaning 3D, street image, things like that, but also it increases their SEO because a lot of people aren't aware that every time that you look at a Google map, it brings up that company's SEO. So that's what we're doing. It's out to some of our, in beta with some of our customers.
Right.
Coming out on Wednesday. You should be on the webinar to see it.
I'll try.
Cool features.
Excellent. You're thank you for explaining that. That sounds pretty exciting. And now you were mentioning to me earlier when we talked about this for a second about how this could help chambers.
So the bigger thing is that customers now are expecting they're expecting technology to catch up with what they've seen on TV. And a lot of us have been trained. And if you go back, I have this conversation with my wife all the time, right? I was born in 1980. I'm almost about to be 39 in end of September. And I remember growing up and I was watching the Jetsons. And if you remember the Jetsons, they had flying cars. They had the robot, the robot maid, all of that stuff. And now we're in 2019, and there are no flying cars. Now we have self-driving cars in Tesla, and you've seen how Tesla has been able to make a car company that is Tesla is actually worth more than Ford. Ford was made in the 1800s. Tesla was made in 1990.
It's already worth more. Wow.
And it's worth more than Ford. It's worth more than Chevy. It's worth more than, I believe, right now, if you were to break it down, it is worth more than most of the United States, and I'm in the U.S., car dealers. It's worth more than almost all of them, and they built that based off of technology. So what people are expecting is to blow them away with new technology.
Right.
And what happens with that is that if you're doing a demo video, let's say for the Chamber of Commerce, now think about being able to add the street view of the Chamber of Commerce where you can now look around the neighborhood. You can focus in on the businesses next to it. But more importantly, what you can do is like Judith, for instance. Judith has a meeting with someone at the Chamber of Commerce. Judith wants to take that person to lunch. What does she look at when she's doing that? She goes to Google and she goes restaurants and she puts in the Chamber of Commerce. Well, now you're going to be able to do this all from a video. So the Chamber of Commerce makes a video and they say, well, if you want to go to lunch, these are the places that are around, and you could search for that right in that video. So it really breaks down the borders of just it adds interactivity to it, but also what it allows you to do is it allows you to look at the bigger picture. And I think that for me, that's what I like seeing. I like when I'm choosing a restaurant sometimes, I like knowing every restaurant that's around there. And this allows you to do it directly from video.
Very interesting. That's very unique. Wow. I'd be interested in seeing those videos as they come up, the samples to see how it all works. So, Dean, you're in Miami,
Yes.
Miami area. So, is that Dorian affecting you, or I'm not up on all the news? I
think that Dorian in Miami affected everyone's paychecks because. What happens if you're not from Miami, and I've been in Miami a while. I've went through most of the major hurricanes that Miami has had, and we always try to be overly cautious when it comes to hurricanes. And everyone went out and they bought everything. Like for days, you could not find a bottle of water. You could Gatorade. Every store was sold out of generators like immediately. And because of that, it's funny, we have a price fixing law, which means that when a natural disaster is coming, you cannot overcharge people for your products or whatever.
Well, that's a good idea.
In 2 days of this storm, them saying that the storm was going to go to Miami, there were over 200,000 complaints of price gouging.
Ah, okay.
So it's just one of those things. We're very, very blessed that it did not hit us at all, which was a blessing. But also it's kind of one of those blessing in disguises because you go out, you spend $1,000 preparing for a hurricane, nothing ever happens, you don't get your $1,000 back, you know? So, but, err on the side of caution.
There you go. We've got a couple of comments already here this morning, which is good. We've got Rick on here. Rick is a very faithful, he shows up all the time. Very nice. And our fearless leader, Christopher Knight, is on board.
Nice.
And hey, here's Barbara Martinez. Now she's executive director of the Goshen Chamber of Commerce. Okay. Firecracker lady. Nice to see you on here, Barbara. So she was commenting about the video idea that you were mentioning about chambers. So part of what we're here for today, of course, is to talk about products. And you developed a couple of products, taking a product to launch. I named it Failure to Launch only because it was catchy. Where I could have probably called it Shiny Objects, more to the point.
Right.
Not that I've ever subscribed to Shiny Objects, of course.
I think we all do, though.
Are you kidding? Thousands of dollars.
Right. I make shiny objects all the time, so
you know what?
It's a little different for me.
As you've told us before, shiny objects are great when you can afford them, but if you keep picking up shiny object, hoping it's going to be the next best thing that propels you into millionairehood, it may not be a good routine to get into.
There's no, and I'll just comment about this. There's no shiny object that will ever make you a millionaire if there's not work put behind it.
Right.
Technology is made to make things easier, but now people are getting lazy, right? So you can build the best technology to make things easier, but instead of replacing that hard work or the hard work that you would have had to do without the technology and
Mhm.
putting it into marketing or putting it into actually going out there and connecting with people, people think that the software is going to solve everything. And that's not the way that software is built.
Right.
That's
And
not the way
now,
software is built.
uh, I know that you've brought a couple of products to launch. And that's part of what we want, I guess, the basis of what we wanted to talk about today. What's the journey? Tell us a little bit about what happens. First of all, I guess there's the concept, starting from concept.
Yes. So bringing a little bit about my background,
Yeah.
I had
Thank you.
never worked for a technology company before. Before I got to Video Remix, it was literally I had been working with attorneys and doing legal funding for about 10 years,
Hmm.
but as I got toward and I built a very successful agency doing it, what ended up happening was is that I needed to use technology to make my agency more efficient, not to make more money. It was to be more efficient,
Okay.
and and that's when I became, I would say, a technology junkie. I was reading about AI and I actually made an AI product for legal funding way before people knew about AI, like 4 years ago when it was expensive as heck. It didn't work.
Yeah.
I wanted it to. Almost 30 grand down the drain.
Oh
But
my.
the technology was there to do it, and you can do some pretty awesome things as long as you don't feel like the technology is going to do everything for you. You
Ah,
know, and
okay.
so when I got to Video Remix, I was actually in a different department. I was going for corporate customers, and that was going decently. And then there were some changes, and I started off doing webinars, which we'll talk about that a little bit, Judith, of how I really pushed you toward doing lives. And we'll talk about why that's so important, especially going forward. And people are going to have to understand that the world is changing, and it's not going to slow down for anyone, and it's not going to go backwards. And that's
Right.
so important on what you're doing right now. But I got to Video Remix, and when I got to Video Remix, we had already had products, but I needed those products. Like what I took in mind is I was like, if I use this product for my legal funding business, I needed to do more, right? So I started building products that would help me if I still owned my agency for legal funding.
Okay.
And it like my what I try to do with each and every one of my products is I try to solve various issues that I've run into in my sales career, various industries, issues that I've run through in building a business and things like that. So
Right.
that's all a part of it, but building a product is a complete it was something I've never seen before. I am very proud, but dude, it is not easy. It is not easy at all. There's so many factors that go into it that a lot of people don't realize, or a lot of people don't pay attention to, because they don't build technology, they don't build apps, they don't build software. Not apps. Apps are side, but software.
Well, more and more, I'm learning a few things. One is that um, often what people are bringing to the market is a previous product that they've made one improvement to, rebundled it, renamed it, checked it out again, and can repurpose it basically and resell it, and they've got a new product, and it works for them if their advertising and the lead up to it and the sale of it is gripping enough to get people to buy it. So it isn't necessarily that all these products are vastly different. Some of them are just a minuscule improvement.
Some of them are no improvement at all, right? Let's be honest.
I wasn't going to go there, but you're right.
Some of them but let's think about this a little bit, and we talk a lot, but you have to think about things a little bit differently, right? There's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing. There is very few things are being built that have never been seen before, because the concept of making something that's never been seen before is almost like making it out of air. Almost everything that is built technology-wise, software-wise, and you even get into medical devices and things like that, they always have a background from which they came from, right? So it's like, it's when you think about, a lot of times when I'm thinking about what you just said, and you think about like this, right? So you think about everyone now who has smart homes, okay? And you and I play around with our Alexa all the time. I actually had to take mine out because every time I say Alexa, she turns on. And when we were on earlier, but you think about Alexa and you think about a smart home, but if you really think about it, without electricity, Alexa can never be Alexa.
That's right.
She could never be. Now, I use my, it's funny because I bought two Alexas at the same time, the big speaker, and then I bought the small one.
Right.
And when I first hooked it up, I'm like, oh my gosh, my dreams became true. I'm going to be able to ask her for everything. And what I really wanted to use Alexa for was music. And what I realized very shortly is that using Alexa was a lot longer than using my Bose speaker and my phone. Like, I would have to cover every song, and sometimes I didn't even remember what songs I liked. But, I had my phone, and my phone has all my songs in there. So for me, the use case for Alexa that I thought that I was going to use it for and what I actually use it for are two totally different things. And that's almost why the concept of taking a product and improving it or making some changes to it is so important, because a lot of times when it comes to software and things like that, we have this notion in our mind and we create what it's supposed to do, right? And then when we finally use it, we're like, yeah, that's not as easy as I thought. So with that, when you come with technologies, like you look at, and I work in a very competitive market, which is video. Now, video used to be where you hired an expensive person, they did your editing, things like that. And then the next thing that they did is like companies like Fiverr came out, where instead of you having to spend expensively to do that editing, you hired someone on Fiverr to be able to do it. Well, then people realize, well, you got all these people on Fiverr making all these money for doing this edit. What if we put it in the hands of Judith? What if we put it in the hands of Dean? What if we put it in the hands of Sam? So then you had the first editors that you and I could use, which were difficult when you first start.
Right.
So now you're getting to where someone takes those editors and say, well, how can we make it easier? And now you have all these products that are on there that are like, oh, hey, you want to make videos yourself? You don't need this, you don't need that. Just get our product and we can help you make those videos yourself. So that's when it comes to having technology that comes out, that's why you don't see a lot of innovation when it comes to technology, because the innovation is not the technology. The innovation is trying to make it easier for you to use. So
Ah,
everyone can use it.
excellent. Got your idea.
Yeah.
So you come up with an idea and you have a product. What's the first thing you're going to do? Or like what?
The first thing that you're going to do is you're going to stab yourself in the neck 15 times. And I say that in all truth because um, it's like when you're younger, right? And your parents say, listen, when you're deciding your career, there are two career paths that you could choose. You could be the architect or you could be the ditch digger. Neither one are more important than each other. Now, they may get paid differently, but with no matter how good the architect is, the ditch digger just needs to be as good, right? So you can be able to do things. And technology and software works that same way because no matter how good your concept is, not only and everyone laughs because they always see this board, and my son probably spends more time on this board than I
Oh,
do,
Pepperdine.
5-year-old Parker Dean. But what happens is that I literally, when I think of a product, I literally have to write down, like, this board will be completely full because there's so many things that I have to be able to communicate that with to a developer.
Right.
And what what happens is that there's a lot that gets lost in translation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you think about it. I am, let's say, the brains behind something, for lack of a better term. I have this great concept, but that concept, I don't know how to code it. I don't know how to make it happen or anything. Then I have to give it to a developer. And what happens is that developer sees something totally different than I see. I can give them my vision, but that developer, one, it's the knowledge that they have. Two, it's I feel like I think that this is something that people really need to understand when it comes to business. There's always someone who feels like they're smarter than you, right? So what happens with my developers is that I may give them a concept, and when they come back with the other concept, they want to add to that concept because they know that I don't understand the development part of it. So I may have an idea on the product, I see the product done, and I'm like, what the hell? This isn't what I asked you for. And they're like, two words that you always have to remember: UI and UX. So user experience is UX. That's what I worry about. And UI is actually how it works.
Okay.
The thing behind it. So those are two things that you really, really have to focus on, and realizing that whatever you think of, that's probably not what you're going to get. And then you have to keep working toward that. You got to have a basis for it. You got to have a baseline.
So that takes a lot of time. So how can you project when you're going to go to market?
You can never. And I deal with this. I just had a meeting about this on Friday. You try to give as much lead time as you possibly can. And what happens is that what you have to realize is that as much as it takes someone to build something, you also have to give them enough time to destroy it, right? And when I say destroy it, is testing.
Oh, okay.
And the testing part is where you really that's when you really, the testing part is when you really start building software, because you realize that it would be better if it did this, but right now it does this. So what I try to do is I try to give enough testing time, but there's almost never enough testing time. It's like you tell a developer, okay, we're going into testing on this day. It's almost like that date becomes the date that they get it to the testing, instead of saying that this is the day that everything's going to be tested. So it's just one of those things you play around with. That's the great part about it also.
Right. But so you have the product, you developed it, and then you go to beta testing, right? Usually?
It depends on, and that's a very good question, right? It depends if this product is based off of something that you've previously used before, right? So let's say I'm building a what I would consider a new product. Is that new product integrated with my old product?
Okay.
And the reason that that's really important is because you know that your old product worked and your old product's been tested and customers have bought it and everything. Now, when you're testing your new product, you're just testing it on top. It becomes a layer to your old product. So what you want to do is you got to find out, right, whether the new product works independent of your old product. And then you have to find out how your new product works overlaid to your existing product and how much you have to. And then what happens is that you have to go back and you have to, a lot of times, do changes to the existing product to make the overlay new product work the way that you want it. So that's the crux of product development, is that when you make something new and you overlay it with something old, you then have to take the something old and make that something new so the new product works with it. So it becomes like this. It's a better term.
It's not for me.
It's a cluster, you know. So it takes a team. We at Video Remix, we have a vast team of people that are very knowledgeable and have been doing things for a while, but
Right.
it also becomes I tell you and a few people that I'm close to, whenever I'm launching a product, the weeks before it comes out, everyone's like, "Where's Dean?" And they're like, "Oh, Dean's not on Facebook. Dean's not doing webinars. Dean's not do this." It's because I have to become obsessed. I sit there for 10, 12 hours a day and just like, why isn't this doing that? You know what I mean? No. And then another thing that I had to learn is people like myself that are creators,
right,
speak a different language than developers. And I had to learn developer language and they had to learn creative language.
I understand that, actually.
Yeah. So I will, I didn't, when I first got here, I didn't know a lot of the technical terms. So my boss he's very technical. So I have to read through his old things, like his tasks. And then I'd be like, for me, I'm like, fix the wording. And they're like, what the hell is wording? And they're like, okay, so we need to improve the font. And I'm like,
why did you say that?
And but you think about that simple statement, right? So if you're creating a video, let's say, or a video software, and you say fix the wording, they may think that you're actually talking about the wording on the video. It's not the same thing as the font. So there are a lot of times that I've made mistakes or sent people in the wrong direction because I didn't know the terminology. You gotta get the terminology straight so you're speaking the same language.
Got it. We've got a couple comments here, Dean. Let's have a look at these. Rick is saying, Dean, can you give us a heads up of what product you're developing?
Rick talked about this a little bit earlier, but yes, and it is good to see my friend Rick. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to give our community a way to not only use their videos to be able to promote companies, but their videos had to make a business sense on the other end for those businesses. So adding our Google API allows you to take that same video that you would regularly use, whole new technology. I've never, I'm one of those people, I always try to do things that I've never seen, with the hope of it having a business function. So what we did is we basically went back and said, okay, Judith, you have your website on Google, okay? Now, how do you get your website up where you're getting more leads on Google? Okay. A lot of that is with SEO. Well, SEO is a broken system. I don't care what anyone says. SEO is a broken system because you cannot have a congruent system if no one knows what that system is. And when I say that, I don't want to talk too big or on top of people where they don't understand, but Google changes their algorithm at least 3 to 4 times a year, and they never let developers know what that new algorithm is. Right. So if you're paying someone thousands of dollars a month to do your SEO, and they've researched it, and this is how you get ranked with this algorithm, and you put your thousands into that, Google changes that algorithm and says, I'm not letting anyone know what the new algorithm is. Right. It works differently. That is a broken system. That is how Google has become one of, if not the most important company that this world has ever seen. Facebook, to me, is probably number 2 or 3. Cisco is right there. And lots of technology that Cisco does that people don't understand, and hybrid companies that they've been able to make. So what happens is that if you don't have a pathway, if I can't go, Judith, listen, I'm going to get you on page 1 ranking, because we all know that 80% of all leads come from page 1 ranking, right? Mm-hmm. Not many people go to page 2. Not many people go to page 3. Well, Judith, you're paying me to get you on page 1, but every quarter, Google changes up their algorithm, and what I just did for you may not work the same way.
Garbage, yeah.
So what we found is we found a little bit of a loophole. And it's not a loophole in the sense that no one's seen it. It's just a loophole in the sense of is that no one's just focused on that loophole. And what that loophole for Google now is that being able to not have to go and Google SEO listings, but going in the Google search, in the business searches. So when you put in real estate agents near me, all of those that come up on maps is a good way. Like if you were to look and you were to go and look at the SEO search when you did that compared to the Google map search, you'll have different companies on each one. So we focused on the Google Maps, and what we found out through a lot of research is that the more that someone looks at your map with Google, the more it seems that Google says that they're interested in you. So what we've done is we've connected that together, and we say, listen, you go out there and you make a video, you get 1,000 views on there. If those 1,000 views can now help you with your SEO and bring you higher in those search results, that works for you. That $1,000 becomes almost like $10,000 that you would spend on SEO. So that's what we've done with video. It is a product that we have some beta users that are using it right now. On Wednesday, we're coming out with the full product because we want to add to it. We want to test it and things like that. But now you're going to be able to include that right into a video. It's going to be able to help with SEO. But not just that, now you're going to be able to use the interactivity of Google directly in a video. So whether you do ads to it or whatever, it's just going to make life a lot easier. And you're killing about 3 birds with 1 stone, especially for our people that are in marketing and sell and help local businesses with their marketing.
Excellent. That sounds pretty dynamic.
When
you were talking about building a product that sort of stands on top, adds to another one. Chris is saying, is the overlay idea so that you can sell to your present users?
The overlay, I guess what he's saying with the overlay idea, are you talking about, I guess he's talking about the Google, about?
When you built the one, this is the way I'm interpreting it. When you have the one product and then you kind of add to it, and it's sort of a variation on what you've got.
Let me get into that, and I'm going to get deep into this and jump into it because before I came to Video Remix, I didn't really know about this sub-industry that we have of software companies that were right before launch, right? So the JVZoo market. A lot of the JVZoo products are tested in JVZoo so that they can then go what a lot of people consider mainstream. And what happens, though, is that, and no disrespect to anyone that is in JVZoo, but very rarely do you find people that have companies in JVZoo. They may be a marketer and they make products, but if you try to find their company name, you're like, what the heck? What's your company name? Right? Now, if you think about that for marketing, Judith, what's the name of your company?
Awesome Media.
Yes, you have a company name. How many businesses have you ever met and you ask them, what's the name of your company? And they can't give you a company name. You would be like, what? You have no company name. And when I saw this, I'm like, dude, what's the name of your company? And people are like, well,
Really? Okay. That's all new to me. All right.
But you think about it and you go back and you look at things that you bought. Find a company name, right?
That's right. I know who promoted it and who I purchased it from, but I don't know who dreamed it up.
You just know someone, they make a good product, and it's almost like the company name is like their company. And I don't want to mention a name right now while we're on here, but when you think about that, right, and you think about growing your own company, very few people would tell you, Judith, you could start a whole company, but don't have a company name. Like, it's the first thing that if you go to a bank, they're going to be like, what's your company name?
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So when it comes to adding layers on top of things, the reason that that's so important for me, or the reason that it's so important, is because if you don't have a company name and you don't have something backing it and it's just your name, if it goes and it disappears, you got no one to blame. You can't say, PayPal, this guy, John Smith, I bought this product from, had this product, I loved it, and now that product doesn't exist. Well, what was the name of the company that John Smith was with? And you're like, I don't really know. So when you are building not just a company, but you're building a brand like Video Remix and like we work on building, it's important to have base products that you have that people know are not going to disappear. They're not going anywhere. And then you're consistently making them better. That's one thing that I am, not everyone enjoys the way that I do it. Not everyone likes the way that I do it, but I don't do it for them. I do it because there's other goals in mind. But the thing is that if I just sell you something, it's like selling you a car, but no one can work on the car.
Right.
Right? You can't. No one can work on the car. No one can service the car. It doesn't make you a lot of sense. And also, too, think about the cost of ownership. If you buy a Tesla right now, which love Tesla, my wife wants one. I'm like, we'll see. If you buy a Tesla and your Tesla messes up at your house, you can't send your Tesla to the local garage around the corner that fixes your son's car, your old car, and everything like that. You have to take it to Tesla, So having that concept, I wanted to do things differently than people were doing. And that means taking base products, improving those base products, coming out with new products that overlay those base products. Because if I already have 2,000 people using this, and I make it better and I add something onto it, I got those 2,000 people, then I may be able to get another 2,000 people to try it because the new technology that overlies it is even better than the old technology. So for me, it's about consistency. It's about consistently, and that's why we went with Google. Who doesn't know Google?
Right.
Right? Who doesn't know Google? And being able to do this and combining with Google, and I'll tell you all a secret because it's you, Judith, on here. When you do something like that and you work with a company as established as Google, what it allows you to do is you have a lot less ways for your product to mess up because Google's not going to mess up.
Okay.
Right? So if you think about the concept, right? Google is always trying to get better.
Right.
So if I team up with Google and make a product with Google, which they love when you make products with them, they have whole departments that are looking for companies to make products with them. Every time Google makes an advancement, and they're a billion, they make 340 billion a year or more. Whenever they do an update, that update automatically goes to Judith, who has our software.
Right.
So
way to go. Brilliant marketing.
Yeah, it's and not so much in what you say for marketing, like, yes, do people take their product, make their product better? Yes, but you have to look at the basis of the product and how long they've been around.
Right. One of the things that we were chatting about the other day is that I thought it was kind of important for me to understand when I came on as a newbie, and of course, shiny objects, so many things. I would so stupid, so stupid. Just a sec here. Chris has got a note here. I want to see that before. In this business, there are many affiliates who have a name and large list, but don't care if what they're presenting to the group works or not. Just send me your money. And that's part of what we're talking a little bit about today as well. Because there are a lot of products out there that.
Can we talk about this for a second now, Judith? Yeah. Okay. Now remember, I am about to be 39 years old, and on September 26th, I have been working since I was 16 years old. I've been the vice president of sales for 4 multi-million-dollar companies. I've lived in Panama and helped my father grow a business. I've established my own agency during this time. I've gone through highs of being making lots of money and lows of being extremely broke. What everyone has to realize, and what I tried to do this when I first came into Video Remix. One thing that I need everyone here to understand is this, okay? Is that if you were going out here and you were buying all these products from all these different affiliates, if you have not set yourself up as a company, okay, which means, I don't care, it doesn't even have to be a company that you're paying attention to. I'm talking about for tax purposes.
Right.
Okay. What I am saying is that it is always easier to have buyer's remorse when you can't write it off at the end of the year. I see people who buy thousands of dollars worth of product, and I ask them, well, do you have a business? And they're like, well, I got my business name. I'm like, well, do you have an EIN number? And they're like, what's an EIN number? And I'm like, what you have to understand is that business is about investment and business is about debt, okay? You don't start a business without going into debt, right? A lot of you all that are investing this are going into debt off these investments, but you have no vehicle to get your money back at the end of the year. Since
Right.
I was 22 years old, there has been nothing that I have purchased that I do not get a tax write-off at the end of the year for. So when it comes, if it doesn't work, maybe I don't say I buy software, it doesn't work, I don't ask for a refund, right? Well, my accountant at the end of the year is like, Dean, what did you buy for your business? And I'm like, I bought this software. Well, where's your receipt? Writing it off. So it's not like you get it for free. You get that investment, but a lot of people are not set up the proper way to begin with. These are what you're doing is you're trying to find what works for you, but
Right.
also you have, especially in the United States, and I lived in Panama, I lived in Central America also. The write-offs are even huger there, but people aren't doing that, and I don't understand why. I don't know, Judith. You have your company. I can only imagine that you write these things off on your taxes. So sometimes, if someone gets you right, if they put out a software and it's crap and it doesn't work, you not only have a protection of PayPal and doing returns that way, and I think we're going to talk about returns, but also you have the governments of your countries that allow you to take that off against your earned income. So if
You don't want to return it.
if you've gone out and you never return it, let's say you spend $10,000 on software this year, but you have a full-time job where you're making 70,000. Well, you can write off that 10,000. So tax time, it looks like you only made 60,000. You have to be smart about this.
Right.
This isn't there's a difference between a hobby and a company. And hobbies, I get to write off. You know that I'm a sneakerhead, right? Everyone knows that I am a sneaker. And one of the biggest mistakes that I ever made in my life is I tried to make a sneaker company, right? Big mistake. Now, I know sneakers, but I know sneakers for myself because I've always bought for myself. I did no research on what people were buying. And I started buying from our savings, my wife and I's savings. I started buying shoes that I liked, that I thought other people would like, because not only were they expensive, not only did I like them, but I did no freaking research. I literally lost $30,000. I literally have, now I've sold some of them off. I probably, between my storage area here, my closet, I have another closet, I literally lost $30,000 on
in sneakers.
Right? Now, my accountant came to me and he is like, Dean, are they selling? I'm like, no, I kind of made a mistake. So he goes, well, we could write those off. It was an investment. You tried to start a business. The business didn't work. You don't have to, you're not losing it. At least I got to write that off. So it doesn't, when I look at it, I still feel like I'm a failure in a way because I didn't research enough, but I didn't take the hit long term for it. And that's where when I'm talking to people and I have this concept, they're like, they're just buying, but they're not realizing buying has benefits.
Right. Depending on, yeah. I mean, if you're not, the thing is, one of the things that other people that I talk with, and I think maybe you mentioned it as well, I've made a policy for myself that I really shouldn't buy the next shiny object until I have made something and recouped from the last one. You know, unless you have enough income going on all the time that you can just buy it, it doesn't matter, you know. But a lot of people, I think, get a little upset about their buying shiny objects because uh, because they just keep buying them and they don't use them, and then they get upset. And that's what I was.
It's not the use that bothers me so much. It's and of course I love selling things, right? I love people buying from me. But when I'm on a webinar and I ask people, well, how many businesses are you contacting daily? and they tell me 0, you can't ever tell me that you're upset about buying something if you contact 0 people to be
Oh,
able
I know.
to sell it.
I know. But that's not what you're thinking about when you're paying off your credit card.
You're not thinking about that. So a lot of times it's not just because of the fact that they're not using it. The thing is that they're not trying to sell it.
Right. But
Throughout the sky.
but what I also wanted to get into a little bit was I want to go back to sort of basics. When you've got a product, how do you decide how you're going to move that product? Do you pick a date with like JV Zoo or somebody like that who sells products? You get it on the calendar. How does that all work?
So what you have to do is there are a few sites out there. There's Muncheye. Muncheye is a big one. JV Zoo, yes. You have to submit those products to them. And what you have to do is you have to pick a date in advance because there are a lot of products that come out on these
Right.
forums. And also, too, a lot of times you're using affiliate sales, meaning that someone else is selling your product for you. And what happens is that they may have a product that comes out by a very popular affiliate that everyone wants to promote, right? And then there's little OU right here. So you do it way in advance, normally about 3 months in advance.
Oh, okay.
And what that does is that tells you, if you got 3 months in advance, you need to have your product ready 30 days before, a month before. It almost never happens that way. But you need to be ready to get it out to affiliates, to get it out to users, to get it out to your test users, everything a month in advance. So, you pick a date normally 3 months, 4 months out, and then you go from there and you game plan down from there.
And what happens if the date comes along and you're just not ready and you don't really have a really strong product?
You have 2 choices. You can either delay your date,
Okay.
which is very scary because you don't know, you got all these people hyped for it. You've done marketing for it, and now you got to push back your date. I've seen some products that have worked really well when they push back their dates. And then I see other products who just get canceled, and then they do a relaunch.
Ah, okay. Talk to us a little bit about OTOs. What they mean, that comes along with all the shiny objects and things that are up for sale.
Judith, you're trying to get me in trouble this morning.
No, I'm
Okay.
not.
Yeah, we talked about this. Okay. Let me explain. Judith, one thing that I think that you can respect about me, and hopefully people that are in my community can respect about me, I try not to BS.
Yeah.
Right? I totally try to leave the BS out because I don't like anyone BSing me. Okay. When it comes to OTOs, you have to think, when you're a consumer, you think a different way. Okay. But what I want everyone that comes on your podcast to start thinking of is thinking of themselves as a brand. Okay. So I'm going to explain OTOs without explaining OTOs, right? So you are walking into a clothing store, okay? And you need a suit for work. You walk into that clothing store. That clothing store is going to have the jacket. Think about it like this, right? So your suit is not totally made up, okay? But you know that your suit is going to require a blouse. It is going to require some pants, and it is going to require a jacket. Those are 3 things that you're going to need to get that suit together. You with me? Okay?
Yeah.
You with me? So the way that OTOs go is like this, okay? To make that full suit, you actually need 4 things. Well, 4 or 5, because you also need shoes for that, right? So OTOs go like this, okay? I'm going to give you the option of several different shirts because there may be a shirt that you like, may not be a shirt that you like. If I try to sell the blouse, the jacket, the pants, and the shoes to you all at the same time, I have a higher chance of you not buying it. If you don't like the blouse, you're not going to buy anything.
Okay.
You get me?
So if you break it down into elements, then there's a
So
pain point
start
there for
breaking
somebody.
it down into elements and giving people options, then you may have someone who comes in and they see that and they're like, oh, I love that jacket, but I already got black pants that jacket will look good on. Let me get that jacket.
Right.
Or they say, you know what? I got a jacket that looks good with these, but I like these trousers and I like this blouse. So I'm going to get the blouse and the trousers.
So people want to be able to mix and match.
So people don't want everything. And people say, when I'm on webinars all the time, they're like, just give me a price for everything. Well, I could give you that price, but if that price, you don't like it, then instead of you buying one or two things, you're going to buy nothing.
Right.
So that's what OTOs are. And I when I am promoting other products, and even when I have our own products, I'm like, I thought the hardest thing ever. I remember the first webinar that I did that had OTOs. I was like, what is this? I was like, what, okay, there's product, then there's this, then there's that, then there's that. And it literally took me like 3 products to finally get even how to sell OTOs. You know what I mean? Or how to put them in the light. And now a lot of times, and I learned this from Jamie Orler, just because someone offers an OTO doesn't mean that you offer it to your clients. Sometimes I'll have a product and I'm like, dude, you don't need this. And I'll be like, yo, you get it, but you don't need it. You know, so it really just, it depends on who you're getting it from, and it depends on what you want from that product.
Right. Christopher has written here, it's been my experience that some promoters sell the main products, then comes OTO 1 and 2. Without those, the main product does not really work as described.
I think that's a very good point, but I think that that's actually backwards, right? Okay, so you think about this for a second, and I'll just break this down, and then we won't get too far into it.
Yeah, we got to move along here. Yeah.
What you want for any product that you have, you want to nurture your buyers. Okay? Nurture your buyers. Judith, what is your favorite? What's your favorite clothing brand? Do you have a favorite?
No, not really.
Okay.
You pick one.
A brand that
everybody in the audience. What's your favorite clothing brand?
Or name something that is your favorite. Whether it's your favorite cereal, whether it's your favorite, doesn't matter. Name a brand that is one of your favorite brands.
Apple.
Apple's huge. Yeah. Apple's been doing a lot of stuff lately. I have a lot of. I'm an Apple, and I have a lot of complaints about Apple, but yet and still, I don't buy anything but Apple. Right? Apple's my Coke or Pepsi. Right? So if you look at Apple pricing, an Apple computer is almost 2 times the cost of a Windows computer.
Right.
Now, they have made Windows computers where the screen flips off, the whole thing flips over. There have been some amazing Windows products. One I almost bought. But the thing about Windows that I am afraid of, and why I'm with Apple, is the last time that I had a Windows computer, I bought one for my father. He's an older guy. And next thing you know, almost a week later, he had viruses out the butt, right? I never had a virus on my Apple computer.
I hear that consistently, yeah.
For me, the factor for me of buying Apple is I don't just buy Apple because I like it. I buy Apple based off of the fact of is that I fear buying a computer that after 2 weeks is so infected with malware that I'm not able to use it.
Right.
That's one of my determining factors. So when you think about that with products, and let me just break this down to you all really really simple, right? The thing about Apple is that when you look at a lot of times what I'll tell everyone to do is if you ever really want to see a genius, okay, you want to see how a genius sells products, always go for the ClickFunnels guy.
Okay.
If you've ever got stuck in one of his sales funnels, it's like, oh, you don't want this, but you might want this, and then he keeps just going on and going on. Russell Brunson, he's the king, but people don't say, oh my God, Russell Brunson in his OTOs, but that's exactly what he does. But think about it this way, right? Apple's customer base was not built off the MacBook. What is the most popular Apple product that was ever sold?
iPhone.
No. No.
MacBook? No.
You got to go further back.
Oh, the most popular.
Ever sold by Apple.
I can't think of
You
the
don't even remember it now. I don't even think of the name of it. So it was the Apple music player. Remember?
Oh, right. Okay. Okay. But Chris has got a point here. You're not explaining why he's backward. You said he's got it backwards.
I'm going to finish explaining to you,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So if you think about Apple, the majority of people did not jump into Apple buying a $2,000 MacBook. They
Right.
bought their AirPod. Was it a
iPod?
iPod?
Yeah, iPod.
They bought the iPod. Think about it. The first product that you ever bought was the iPod. The iPod was priced a lot lower, right? It was priced a lot lower. Once the iPod starts working and you see how cool it is, then you start looking at Apple products differently. Then they're able to raise you up to a price point where now you feel like if I spend less than $2,000 on my Mac computer, not only am I going to get viruses, it's not going to be a Mac. So they got you in. Think about an OTO or think about any product that you bought. You get in for the cheap and they build you up to the most expensive. So when you first buy a product, okay, from the JV Zoo market, a lot of these markets, your front end is low. I preferably hate that because my front end is where I spent all my money. But they know if I get you into the front end, I can always upsell you later. Maybe you don't even buy the OTOs, but then you see another product that you like of mine. And if I could get you on think about it like this, right? If you see a product that comes out, front end is $27, okay? Everyone could spend $27. You spend $27 on coffee, right? So if I could get you in for $27, that gets you on my email list. Think about how much it would have cost me to market to you. I would have paid, I remember one of my first jobs, I worked at Office Depot. Office Depot pays over $1,000. It's almost $1,200 just to acquire one customer. Doesn't mean that customer is going to buy $1,000, but when you consider their marketing, their commercials, everything, their customer acquisition is over $1,000. So if you flip that backwards, now you have your OTO in for $27 or $37. I get you in, and then you kind of go from there, and you have your upgrades, your OTOs, and everything.
We're getting lots of some feedback here. Change the deck, Carl. Oh, that's non-Apple MP3 player. Chris has got a really interesting question here. Oh, whoops, that wasn't the one I wanted. This one. Did you ever have a launch that failed? Or do you know of anyone that had a launch that failed? I didn't ask the question.
I am going to be just straight honest. I am connected in this community, not as a lot of other marketers that have been here for a while. But one thing that I always do is I'm always looking at new technology. I've been doing this before I even got in this industry. And there are a lot of places that I go for new technology. And whenever I'm looking at new technology, what I'm looking at is that does it solve a problem that Judith may have? More importantly, does it solve a problem that I've had in my career of sales? And I've done sales all my life. That's all I know, right?
Okay.
Sales and management. So when I'm looking at these products, I'm like, oh man, this seems good. But then I look at what it's promising, right?
Okay.
And when you are looking at what something promises, I equate it to how much work you need to put into it, right? A lot of people think of it differently. They think that the product's going to do the work. Yeah, the product's going to do some of it, but the work has to be put into the product for the product to work. So when you're saying that, what I see that happens is that you'll see, oh, this thing is being promoted, this thing's being promoted. Now all of a sudden you don't hear from it. And it's like you get with the vendor and they're like, oh, well, this happened, that happened. So that happens, I wouldn't say a lot, right? I wouldn't say a lot, but it happens. There have been products that we've launched that I'm not happy with.
Okay.
Right? And I spend all my time trying to make those better and make those better. I am a perfectionist by nature. Mm-hmm. So for me, once something comes out, I always, like I tell everyone in my community, the thing that makes me different, and I hope makes the company different because I have influence over the company, is that I'm never satisfied with anything that comes out. I'm never satisfied, right? Mm-hmm. I'm always trying to figure out how to make it better and do that. And I push my development team. I push our CEO because I come from a different background. I come from someone who has spent 23 years in sales. I need this to help me make sales.
Right?
So when a product does come out, I've been unhappy with some products. I've never had a launch that's failed because my motto is I learn more from stuff that doesn't work than stuff that does work. When something works, you kind of coast and you're like, that's great. When something doesn't work, it forces you and pushes you to not just make that product better, but also figure out why it didn't come out the way that you wanted, and you never want to go through that again. So that's my honest answer on that.
Okay. We just before we wrap up here, one of the things that we talked about a little bit yesterday was chargebacks and PayPal. Can we just quickly go over that and share some of that so that people understand a little bit more about that? Because that's important when it comes to a business that's creating a product.
Well, it's really important when it comes to your launches, right? And let me give you a scenario. Judith makes this bomb product that does Facebook Lives, okay? Judith has a list, and it's an impressive list, but she really wants this product to do good, and she wants to get it out there. So what Judith does is she brings other affiliates on that are going to help her sell that product, okay? She makes partnerships with other people to sell that product. Now, the people who buy Judith's product from her understand Judith. They know Judith. They trust Judith. Even if something's wrong, they know that Judith's going to come back and Judith's going to fix it and make it right, okay? And then you have this thing, and we'll talk about it a little bit more. But then there's only one Judith. Now, Judith gets 50 different affiliates to be able to sell her products. Those affiliates have customers that know and they trust them, but they don't know Judith. So they start promoting this product, and the sales page, everything looks great. Well, one thing is that always when people have to realize when you are selling software, okay, no matter how great your software does what it says that it's going to do, the head of the consumer always feels like your software is supposed to do what they want it to do.
Mm.
Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Right? So if I tell you a video software and I say that they could do this, 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 when you, even though I tell you this, 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 you automatically think, well, it should do this, 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 and this, right? And what you do is when you jump on that software, you don't focus on the this, this, this that I said that it could do. You, a lot of times consumers, especially consumers that don't know Judith, that are coming in from different affiliates, focus on what they think that it should do and what it doesn't do for them. And then what they do is they go and they're like, oh, this isn't working for me. And one thing that we do is we always see how many times you've tried something, okay? Because if you buy a software and you try it less than 10 times, you don't know whether it works. If you try it 3 times, people will say, oh, well, I tried it 3 times. You let me know anything in life that you've only tried to try 3 times and you were perfect at it.
I'm smiling because we recently went through this together.
Right. I'm teaching my 5-year-old how to swim. Okay. Yeah. I've been teaching him how to swim since he was 3. He's finally now where he has the little floaty things, right? Yeah. He could go underwater. People are like, oh, your son's so great. But when I take those floaty things off, his confidence goes straight down. Even though we've been practicing, he knows how to swim, but he can't swim without his floaties, right?
So returns and PayPal. Can we get back to that?
Yeah. So that's the same thing with us. So what happens is that when you get a bunch of people that feel like the software doesn't work that way and they start doing returns, what happens is that there are transaction fees that PayPal pays, bank fees and everything like that. What happens with people like PayPal is PayPal will they'll close down your account.
If there's too many returns.
You get too many returns, they'll close down your account. You'll see affiliates talking about it all the time. They'll close down your account. You make too much money, they'll close down your account. But what people don't understand about this is that say Judith does a launch and she makes $200,000, right? And all of a sudden, one day she has $10,000 of return and PayPal goes, there's something wrong, and they freeze Judith's account. It's not like Judith lost the $10,000. They're freezing the $200,000 that she made, and that freeze can last for 30, 60, 90 days. Sometimes it lasts where they close down your account. They say you're never going to be able to use that account, and now we have to send you a check. They don't get that to you right away. That check may be months.
Wow. So it's pretty. There are repercussions to returning things.
There are huge
reasons for keeping them
for a vendor in getting returns. Stripe, for instance. Stripe has one of the most strict return policies out there. And for instance, you sell something with Stripe, too many people return it. Not only are they closing down your Stripe account, but they're trying to freeze the account that the money is going to because Stripe doesn't want to lose money.
Right.
So it's a huge thing for vendors. It's a huge thing. And making sure that, and it's hard to, when someone says, oh, this doesn't do what it's supposed to do, and then you have your customer support try to show them what it's supposed to do, in their mind, they're always like, I want to return this. They don't care. And it affects you in major ways.
Right. Before we say goodbye, I would like you to talk to us very briefly about how important doing lives are. Because that's one of the things we talk about, in chambers and in sales and things. People are still squeamish about it. Not everybody's comfortable with it. The very first time that I did a live was because of encouragement from you. This is all your fault. So the importance of lives. Can you speak to that for just a minute
Yes.
before we go?
So the importance of lives goes back to television and television ads. Okay. And you think about the only ways to be able to market to people. Back in the 80s, there were two ways of being able, well, three ways of marketing to people. And all of them had to produce an ROI, which is a return on your investment. The three ways were television ads, okay, radio, or print, all right, which is snail mail, okay? So the ROI of commercials started beating everything else, right? So you saw more commercials. That brought off the price of commercials. And if
Right.
you never bought a commercial ad before, you don't buy one commercial.
Right.
You have to buy it in a block.
Series. Right.
You have to buy it in a block. And sometimes these blocks are bought, you have to do 3 months. Some companies are 6 months. Bigger companies like NBC, you got to sign a year deal where you're going to do a slot at a time, right?
Mhm.
So that all gets very, very expensive. Now, you think about TV and you think about NBC, for instance, and you want to do an ad during not the Super Bowl, but let's say it's an episode of Will and Grace. They have 6 million people that watch that are watching that episode of Will and Grace. You're paying because they're able to have 6 million, 5 million, 4 million people watch that ad or that commercial that you do. Okay.
Right.
So that's where it comes from. Now you think about it and you think about Facebook first, right? And Facebook doing live. That's the same thing as a commercial. The difference is instead of you being on NBC for Facebook, you're on NBC, Fox, Fox News, you're on every station, right?
Right.
Facebook has over, I don't know, 1 billion people that are on Facebook. So doing lives allows you to tap into markets at a very, very minimal cost compared to what you used to have to do when it came to TV advertising. And that's why Facebook started changing their algorithms. And now your initial amount, if you make a post, less than 2% of the people who are on your are friends with see that post. They have to limit that. So
Right.
now what live does is that it breeds that percentage up because of the mechanisms that Facebook has put in there. If you've ever been on Facebook, when someone goes live, you get a notification. Most people spend at least, I believe right now it's 7 hours on Facebook. So every time someone goes live on Facebook, you're notified and they can just click in. So that brings your percentage up to maybe 6%, 8%,
Right.
right? So now when you start thinking about that, you start thinking about now what other places are doing live. Now you could do Instagram.
Mhm.
And pretty soon you'll be able to do, and we were talking about this right before, you're going to be able to do, you could do YouTube Live also. You
Right.
can do all of these different ones, but pretty soon you're going to be able to do LinkedIn Live. And I
LinkedIn.
told you earlier about LinkedIn. Um, they are not, and what happens is technology wise, they're not able to control their algorithm as much when you don't have a lot of people that are using that product.
Mm.
Right? So when Instagram rolled out their live, they only rolled it out to a small group of people so that they can make their algorithms where this amount of people saw it, this amount of people. But once they roll it out to the entire world, you're going to see, you're going to be getting maybe 10, 12, 15% engagement until they figure out how to monetize that. So learning live now on Facebook and on Instagram and on YouTube, when other companies do their lives, you're going to be able, not only will you have the experience, but you're going to see a huge spike in your engagement on those newer platforms. So that's why it's so important, and it's a lot easier. It's a lot more interactive, but also the notifications are a big reason.
Right. In order to move up the ladder, so to speak, to of being seen, isn't there sort of a minimum time that you should be if you're going to do a live a certain time
Well,
that's suggested?
say that the suggested time for a live is, I believe, 12 to 15 minutes or something like that. It's a higher amount,
Yeah.
but that's just because of, if you think about it, how many people come on during 12 to 15 minutes, right? So let's just say the average time, the peak time to do a live to get the most amount of customers is 10 minutes. During that time, you have maybe 20,000 people jumping on every minute for that 10 minutes. So hopefully by your live, you might have 200 people, 100 people, 50 people, whatever
Right.
it is. So the longer you do it, the more you're going to get. But that's more of a numbers thing. And then also how many people are jumping in at the same time
Right.
on that platform.
Well, we've certainly got more than our 15 minutes today for live, Dean. Well done. Coming up on an hour and a half. We don't very often do an hour and a half. I want to thank you very much for being my guest today and for speaking so
Was it
candidly.
supposed to be 15 minutes?
We've been here like for an hour and a half.
You never told me that it was 15 minutes. I like the talk.
No.
Yeah.
Yankee chain there. No, it's but it is alive in a way, right?
Yes.
We're alive.
Yes. And also, don't forget that this is going to increase your Facebook SEO and help you with your algorithm, because if you stay on for this long, Facebook feels like you must be talking about something important. So they're going to boost your algorithm. So I helped you.
Oh, excellent. Thank you so much. Excellent.
Exactly.
And Carl says, is this an AA meeting? No, we're not doing the 12 step today, Carl.
Yeah, no 12 steps.
All right. So with all that, thank you so much again.
You're more than welcome. You're more than welcome. Thank you for having me on here, Judith, and love to see how people like this content.
Excellent. Talk to you later then.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. So there we have it. I know that the conversation was a little bit over the map, all over the place. Still a lot of interesting things. If you can, so what might be interesting to one person maybe is not as interesting to another. But I did enjoy the conversation, and I think that we did make some advancement there. The antihistamine is wearing off. So the ability to breathe and speak at the same time is now decreasing, and I'm going to bid you all adieu. We will join again next Saturday, and I'll let you know in a few days who it is that we're going to have and what we're going to talk about. Thank you very much for joining me, and take care. Bye-bye.